Today is Thursday, August the 21st. We're so glad that you are here with us. We've been going through the sermon series together, just talking about what it looks like to be God's family, God's kingdom, a community following after Jesus, the way that Jesus intended us to from the beginning, right? Yeah. He established his church, and his church has moved forward, and we really see this play out in the book of Acts, and especially in Acts chapter 2 is where we landed. And in chapter 2, we just see these rhythms the church has made. Because last weekend we talked about worship, and it's more than music. I love music. Music's a part of it because we're singing people, but it's a part of it, and it's not, worship's not relegated just to music.
It is not. It is all kinds of things in life. I like music also, but worship is more than that. I used to fall into the trap of thinking it was only the songs. Which then, when you think of worship as only music, and we'll get to this in a minute, I think, too, but when you think of it only as the music, that's when we start to argue over what kind of worship is the best. What kind of worship do I like? What do you like? What kind of worship is that? And it just gets muddy and messy. Worship is more. It's our actions, it's our words, it's our thoughts, it's our relationships, all these things.
And it's when it's surrendered to the authority and to the kingship of Jesus like you're supposed to be, then, and we're going to get to this in just a minute, then the music stuff shouldn't really matter as much.
It really shouldn't.
The words behind what we sing should matter, but stylistically should not matter in what we do. So because of that, let's talk about this stuff a little bit from the sermon this last weekend. What is one way you worship beyond the weekend in your life? What does that look like for you?
I do a lot of different things, and because again, if worship is really just devoting things to the Lord and surrendering them to Him, anything can be worship, right? So I have some friendships I hang out with people. That's actually an act of worship. It's a way to do that. When I'm at home, I rest in an active kind of way, but I'll be at my garage working on something, building something. That's an act of worship. When I talk to somebody, I often I'll pray for that person as I'm talking to them, right? It's not like I've learned I can't carry on a conversation here and there. So it's more like I'm praying for them while I talk to you right now. It's that, but it's an act of worship, right?
Yeah.
To submit these things to God.
Absolutely, because I think I am convinced that the things that we've been given, skills, resources, talents, whatever, are all things that God gives us to steward, and how we use them and grow them is an act of worship. So you have been gifted in woodworking stuff. I mean, it's an acquired skill too, but like you seem to naturally grow, like learn and how to do those things easily. Not everyone is gifted that way. And so for you not to grow in that skill is to not be worshiping. I feel like, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like the gifts that God gives us, and to ignore them. Actually, the Word of God tells us to fan into flame the gift we've been given, right? To grow it, to lean into it, and that's what you're saying. I think
we have a lady in our church who, for Easter and some other holidays, has chalked the building and done different things, and I think it's so cool how she does things in drawing. I am not a good drawer, but that's an act of worship, the art and helping people and come into the presence of God.
Yeah. We have another lady in our church, a good friend of mine, that she crochets all the time, and she'll often, I think crochet is what it's called. I think crocheting. Well, it's not my thing. But while church is going, when you listen to the sermon, she's crocheting along, and then at the end,
I know you're talking about crocheting,
and then at the end. I thought you gave me a weird look. I was like, I said the wrong word.
There's ladies watching this right now. Some of you knit, some of you crochet, some of you do all these needlepoint stuff. And
so I used to call them all knitting, and I've learned that's not correct.
And so I was trying to figure out which one we were talking about, but then I recognized what we were talking about.
But it's really cool because she'll come to me at the end of one of our gatherings. She'll be like, "Look what I've been making here." And one time she's got like this little tomb and that she'd made, and then she does a little thing, and Jesus pops out of it. Like, yeah, it's an empty tomb now. And Jesus is out again, and little things that she does. These are acts of worship that are happening, using our hands, using our words, all this stuff.
And I love it because all these things are coming out of a place of God gave you this skill that you're learning to get better in, to get more excellent in, and that you're returning back to Him. That's the act of worship. So I love that you do woodworking stuff. That does not bring me joy, woodworking and stuff. Like, I like helping people. I'm not very good at it though. But for me, I love being creative and thinking through things. So like in the past, my favorite hobby in creativity when I wasn't doing music was music. I know it was. I went so far, right? But instead of learning other people's stuff,
true Renaissance man.
I am a true Renaissance man. But instead of doing other people's stuff, I loved to craft and create my own music. I would write for music and stuff. The last few years, I've not done that just because I just haven't felt like it. Like, it's not been something I've been wanting to worship. But lately, I've actually been, and you know this, and not everyone knows this, but I've been writing more. As a dyslexic person, ADHD person, I was not ever wanting to sit down because I couldn't always get all of my thoughts from here out. But because of technology, I'm able to go to it, and it helps me shuffle all my thoughts to something you can read, and get it all out there. And so it's been cool to dive into this thing that I never thought I could do, but I had a heart for, but just because of what I felt like were disadvantages, ADHD and dyslexia, I'm learning to push through that and allow the tools that have been crafted to help me be on the other side of it. And whether people ever read my stuff or not, I don't care about. I think, though, not doing it would not be worshipful.
Yeah.
So it's just been fun. You got to figure out, though, in your season. I know, like, my dad loves doing yard work. Because he likes doing stuff with his hands. He grew up on a farm. He loves doing yard work. So, like, when he gets home, he'll do yard work stuff. He'll mow. He'll do things. But that's his act of worship. Everyone has their act of worship. You need to discover what yours is and put it into practice this week. Not just music, but taking the skills God's given you and returning it to Him and glorifying Him. The second question I wanted to wrestle through with is, what worship style, so in this case it would be music. I'm going to clarify that. What music style is most different from your preference, and how can you learn to appreciate it for how it helps others connect with God?
So, you're asking me a dangerous question.
Well, what if I answer first, because I have an answer to this one.
You go for it.
I'm going to be honest with you. I love hymns. I actually love Gregorian chants. I love some really old school stuff. I love newer stuff. I've struggled personally with connecting to the newest stuff coming out by most worship people out there.
Well, it's because you're so old.
I'm so old at 34. But no, what it has to do with is they're finding new ways to connect with younger generations, and it's more hip hop and rap based.
Yeah.
And which are not bad things, but it's just not my cup of tea. Like, and I loved the 90s and early 2000s because I love rock, and that was like the era of rock and roll in church. And so, like, that was my heart language, is like, let's rock for the Lord, you know? And so what I've learned, though, is my daughter's 9. She absolutely loves the new stuff coming out and goes around singing and rapping about her God and who it is. And I'm learning that, and then we're even trying things on Sunday mornings. We're not rapping on Sunday mornings.
I can't wait.
but like, even some of the new songs, and even some of the new songs we're choosing are more hip hoppy and more because those are what are coming out, because we want the next generation to also worship God. But it's also why it's important that we sing other stuff, which is why we sing him, which is why we sing other things. But I want the generation coming up to also connect to their God in the way that He's wired them to. But that one's the hard one for me.
Yeah. This is where I typically make a joke like reggae or something like that, but there are people who love reggae worship probably, so that's offensive to them. No, I honestly struggle with hymns. I do. Growing up, I know them all. I sang them all growing up, and I didn't find them to be engaging for me. And I too actually. We're about 10 years different in age, but the 90s and the early 2000s, that's my spot. I love right there. I was in youth ministry at that time. It's a good time, and so that's good for me. But the older hymns, there's a richness of lyric there. I've learned ways to engage them. Actually, my son would tell you, if he were here right now, he would tell you that his favorite hymn is "Love Lifted Me." Do you know this? Yes.
Yes.
You play this.
I can't look at you when I sing this.
You can't because I don't know how or I don't know why it possessed me to do this, but when he was little, we were singing at our church. So little, like 10 years old, we were singing at our church. "Love Lifted Me," and every time the word lifted, we just kind of lifted. We just kind of lift. I think that. And so if ever that song is sung in church, you can look and
Adam will always.
I would do it out of habit. It's a thing. That's not making fun of it.
No.
It's just a way of engaging it, right? It's a way to engage the medium, the way to worship right there, and so I do it. I've learned to love hymns, but that's not my go-to place.
I love how you keep using the word engage, because I think that's really important when we're engaging with music. And the reason for this is, like, I talked about how I do like hymns, but if I dived into that a little bit more, I love the theological richness of hymns. New songs have it too. That's just talked. The wording is different, right? And so, but I love that. But stylistically, I don't like the music of the hymns typically, and because I prefer stylistically the guitars, the rock, and hymns were written for a piano-driven.
And that's my whole thing. It's the way it's instrumented.
And but because of that though, but I actually prefer, like, my mom's a pianist, and I have some other friends who play piano. I love sitting around and listening to them play hymns. And I think the reason why I don't engage with it as much is I'm not a pianist. And so because of that, like, I'm a guitarist, so I like the guitar-driven songs, right? So I think that plays into that a little bit too.
I had someone tell me once, talking to me about, we're getting a little bit off track here. We're talking about, my feelings on this whole thing. They told me they perceived that I didn't engage well because of I'm not a singer. You know this about me. I sing. Oh, I sing all the time. Do I sing well? That's hurtful. But it's also true.
For those who can't see, I shook my head no.
That's also true. I don't sing well, and I don't hear harmonies, and I don't sing harmonies. I can play things on guitars, but I don't hear it in my head for singing. And I often joke that I only sing harmony. I just choose the bad ones to sing. But that's it for me. Like, it's just a style thing, right? Yeah.
Because I think when we all talk about, because I've talked to enough generations, and so I think I'm right on this one. I think when we talk about not clicking with different songs, and I don't ever think it's lyrically, for the most part. Because usually, like, if I were to print songs, just the lyrics, and set them down, especially the ones we do around here, I think everyone would read through like, that's beautiful, that's beautiful. Really what it is, it's a musical preference of how you engage with music.
Which is where you were headed, and I started heading there, and we didn't quite get to it yet, so I'll say it. Because of our topic about engaging with things, that's actually helped us, me, for you also, I think, to talk to people that say, I don't like the new songs. Well, it's actually not the words we're singing. It's the tunes, the song sounds, right? And so it gives us understanding and a way to start talking about it, so where we can have unity across a wide variety of things.
Yeah. So I would love to encourage you. I said this last weekend's message, but I want to continue to encourage you. Wrestle through this question and find something that you don't click with, and listen to it more. And I'm not saying you have to listen to it in the sense that, like, oh, I love this. I want you to listen to the words. Just listen to the words. Especially, like, if you're wondering, because we talked about the song filter this last weekend a little bit through a message. If you're wondering, does it mean it? Just pick one of the songs we sing here, because they made it through the filter. And again, I want to encourage you, not just I don't care who you are. If you're a younger generation who only listens to new stuff, go listen to something older. If you're an older generation who only listens to older stuff, go listen to something newer, and listen for the words.
And it's not just me saying, I do the same thing. I use Spotify all the time, and I have some brand new stuff that I'm not real fond of. I listen to it in my office. I have some super old, slow and melodic hymns that I listen to in my office because I want to do that very thing.
Yeah, because we want to unify together around our King, who is worthy of praise and to be exalted. So I want to encourage you in that today. This weekend, I'm excited for what's coming up. We're talking about communion. You and I are not talking.
We are not. Well, at least not on the stage. But we'll probably talk.
I'm talking right now.
Our friend Greg is going to be speaking about communion, and he's going to talk about just some weird, odd things in Scripture that are misunderstood about communion. And I believe, I've read the message, I believe it's going to bring a richness and a depth to communion, the way you approach it, that might be one of the most beneficial things for you in this whole series. So this weekend, join us as we talk about communion and jump into it Saturday night and Sunday morning both. And hey, church, we'll see you soon. But until we do, you are sent. Go have a great day.